All right, so the idea behind the Sunday post is that I put my opinion out on stuff, I see during the week, maybe a Tuesday, whatnot. Anyway, compile it all together, put it into one nice, neat video. So, again, this week I didn't happen to have the time to get all the topics I wanted to talk about in this Sunday post. That's all right. Again, you can go out, look at each one of the little topics, if there's one that interests you, okay, you skip that and skip the rest, or, you can watch the video all the way through. But either way it goes, I think some of these topics are worth having a good discussion on. Okay, so this week at the Quad Post, first part of it, we're going to cover the new regulations for quadcopters. Guess what, guys? You have a quadcopter half a pound to 250 pounds, you have to register with the FAA now. Fees $5. I believe you have to provide your physical address, your mailing address, your name, and your email address. For non-recreational users, I believe you have to actually provide the make, serial number, and model of your quadcopter. Penalties for failing to do so: civil is $27.5 thousand. Criminal penalties can include up to 3 years in prison and up to $250,000. Yep. Yeah, we sure do need government in our lives, don't we? Oh, being sarcastic, but the very same people who cringe at the idea of curtailing government power, going, no, if we don't have government in every aspect of our lives, there'll be chaos in the streets. Yeah, to all you people, I was being sarcastic, but you're probably too stupid to understand that. And I have no problem insulting you people. You people don't belong in the U.S. They should ship your ass to a third world nation where you belong. Seriously. You people are destroying this country. Fuck you. Alright, so Obama came out again and is apparently upset about gun control not passing. So now his administration is considering executive action. One of these actions is to reinterpret the laws, in order to make them favorable. Yeah, we haven't heard that before, have we? From gun control advocates who reinterpret the Second Amendment. Of course, with this one, he couldn't get Congress to ignore the language of the Second Amendment. He couldn't get his agenda through Congress. He didn't have enough support there, which is kind of telling, because if really 90% of the population supported the closing of the gun show loophole, it would be done. And, the fact that they have to use that language, they call the law, and to deceive people about what the law actually is, is really telling about the gun control movement, So, let's do an overview of this real quick. All right. Second Amendment says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go in the full sentence. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. No, we're not ignoring the entirety of the amendment. We're not reinterpreting the amendment. You guys are. You guys are taking the first part, which says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, which means a well-functioning group of armed citizens. That's what a militia is. That's the definition when it was originally put in place. Is necessary to the security of a free state. It says nothing about gun control. What it does go on to say, and continue to say, is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. See, gun control advocates ignore that. They try everything they can. They try to get Congress to ignore that because they know they couldn't get enough support to change the Constitution. And of course, so they go through passing one restriction after the other in Congress, and when that doesn't work, they try the state levels, and when that doesn't work, and Congress doesn't pass their laws on the national level, and they can't get what they want there, then they demand the president. No, I shouldn't say they demand. The president's already doing that on his own anyway. Goes and abuses his power to push their agenda. So, I mean, what more is there to say on this? Other than the fact that gun control advocates don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about what the people actually want. They don't even care about what the truth is. They just want their way. It's all about doing whatever they can to either take the firearms away from everybody, or, if they can't outright do that, and I think most of them are at the understanding they can't outright do that, they try to put as many restrictions as they can to make it impossible for as many as they can, and make it as difficult as they can for those who actually are going to purchase a firearm or own a firearm. That part is blatantly obvious. But, again, despite all this, despite, Hillary Clinton's calls for Australian-style gun control, despite, several left-leaning papers, and even, the New York Times, which I know it's still left of the American population by far, but it's still one of the more moderate in the news media. I mean, what does that say when you've got a news media that's so far left that even their more moderate papers are like in left field compared to the rest of the American population? But you got all these people calling for gun control, calling for Australian-style gun control, or calling for ban. You had an article in the Salon saying that gun owners should be shot before they can be gun owners. So with all this, I mean, we already know and can tell that no one's coming to take your guns is a flat lie. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that there are some gun control advocates that don't want to ban the guns. They want common sense restrictions, but these also are the very same people that haven't paid attention to the law. They don't know what the law is. All they know is they want that restriction. So, again, once they get this next restriction, and the new restrictions are being proposed, they're going to come out and again say, well, we need this, this restriction, and we need these common sense regulations yet again. The gun control advocates thrive off the stupid. So, again, while there might be a lot of these people who honestly, aren't really in favor of a gun ban, but are in favor of common sense restrictions, even though they never took the time to look at what those restrictions are. They never took the time to look at what the laws are. They never took the time to look at the facts of whether these laws would actually be both workable, whether they wouldn't actually infringe on anybody else's legal ability to get a gun, if they're law-abiding, and how effective they would be at stopping crime. So, again, when it comes time for that first set of restrictions to get passed, well, hell, first set of restrictions have already been passed. Same for the second, third, fourth. But, if they get these restrictions through, then they'll be on board for the next restrictions. Because they, don't really know what they're talking about. And don't really care to know what they're talking about. All they know is they want more common sense gun laws. And yes, gun control talking heads thrive off those uninformed masses. Right. Meanwhile, the rest of us who do know what the law is, and like are opposed to this, and are in favor of individual rights and individual freedoms, well, we're scratching our head thinking, geez, dude, how the hell can you support something like that? I mean, where do I go? What do I say that hadn't already been said or isn't already quite so very obvious? I mean, for the social justice movement and the intersectional feminists, the people that are engaged in all these identity politics, well, the reality is that there isn't really any, quote, oppressed group in this country. And in many cases, to actually be even aboard with your agenda, you already have to live in a fantasy world. You have to be deluded from reality. And even then, there are some other problems that you guys are talking about that are just nothing more than trivials. And the solutions that you guys propose to those problems are things that will destroy a free state. You want to infringe on other people's liberty to push your agenda. Which is why, social justice warriors, also a.k.a. intersectional feminists are the very same types of people who are against the free market, who are against personal firearm ownership, and they're against free speech, as well as due process when it comes to their pet crimes. These people are entirely against a free state. Again, you're talking about really, overgrown children is what it boils down to. Pretty much overgrown children that don't know what the word no means. They don't understand that, them not getting to tell everybody else what to do with their life or how to think or how to speak doesn't constitute oppressing them yet. And the fact that they go all the way to calling it oppression just goes to show you how very much like children these people are. And the best thing you can do for them is when you catch that behavior, don't apologize to them. Talk down to them like they are children, because that's exactly what they're acting like. If you're somebody's employer and they're complaining to you about how offended they were about something somebody said on the internet or this, that, or the other, or, you want to, or that they should fire that person because that person's a racist, or a misogynist or sexist or anything like that, you probably should just ignore them. When you see somebody like that applying for a position in your company, guys, I would not give them any position where they have any real power over anybody. I would give them the most menial, lowest paid job in the company. And that's it, if that, because these people really don't have the brain power or the maturity to handle any real power. This is why you get people like Hillary Clinton, who does something, that would get anybody else put in jail, putting classified information out over private emails, and this nonsense that, well, she didn't have a government email and couldn't get a government email. That's nonsense. Even when I was in the Army, as a lowly private, I had a government email. Just the same as any employee of the federal government. But would you go do all this, and then the next thing you know, Ellen DeGeneres comes out and says, well, the only reason why she's taking any sort of heat at all is because she's a woman. No, Ellen, you were just that far detached from reality. This is why people do not like feminism. It's because of stuff like this and more. You people don't want to act like adults. You people don't want to actually look at the facts. You want to act just like children, you know. A truth filter come on you, Ellen, and it would come out like this. I don't care what the facts are. I just want Hillary Clinton to be president. I don't think Hillary should get in any trouble. I don't care about what the facts are. I like Hillary Clinton, and I don't want her to get in any trouble. I want her to be president. I don't care what she's going to do as president. I don't care what she's done as Secretary of State. That's exactly what you sound like. Exactly what you sound like to the rest of us rational people paying attention. And there are many more cases, guys. I mean, we can go over on feminists, on social justice warriors. You got people like Anita Sarkeesian going to the UN saying, well, we need to do something about people saying you suck on the internet. Really? If that is your problem, get the hell out. You don't really have a fucking problem. People tell you suck on the internet? Fuck. And you got to go to the UN over that. You were that fucking delicate that you got to go to the UN because somebody told you suck on the internet. Again, tell me how you people are not like overgrown children. I mean, what more is there to say on this? On minimum wage. Well, guys, your employer pays you for what you're worth and the productivity you put out. Raising minimum wage, it isn't gonna help you out at all. And worse off, it's gonna bring everybody down further to your level. It's not uplifting you, believe it or not. And it could very well, because at the end of the day, you're still. I mean, if you manage to keep your job and they raise the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour, and you still manage to keep your job, well, guess what? You're still going to be at square one again. Prices of goods and services go up. You kill a lot of people's pay raises. You know that guy who was working there beside you, and actually he was working there about a year or two before you, and this person managed to get up from $7.25 an hour to $9 an hour now. Well, you've just killed that person's pay raise. So, I wouldn't be too happy with you if I knew you were in favor of the program that killed all my pay raises. Your employer pays you to produce, and if y'all would quit demanding more and more and more and more out of your employer, making it less and less and less and less efficient for your employer to hire you to get the job done, you might notice that more jobs open up. You might notice companies like, well, you know what? Since we don't have to pay into their health insurance or anything like that, we've got this much to allot them. Okay, we got this much to allot. We need this job here done. I believe the productivity that this job will produce if we hire the right person at this wage will increase the value of our company and will be profitable for us to do. All right. Therefore, another job is created. However, when now all of a sudden they have to pay this person, give this person health insurance or face a fine, they got to pay more in payroll taxes. Another tax that you guys don't know about. It just gets pushed off as a tax against the evil rich white person, and really all it is an attack on job providers and the potential employees that they would have had, had they been able to afford them. Now we've got to, now minimum wage has been raised from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour. Well, shoot, Even if we do hire that job, it's another minimum wage job now. Because we were originally only going to pay him $10 an hour, but now we have to pay him for now we have to pay him $15 an hour. That's minimum wage. And eventually the lawyer's going to say, screw it. We're going to try to figure out how we can pinch more out of our other workers to cover down on that. We're going to try to button down and get around without that job anyway. So you see where this works. You see how you're hurting yourself and other people when you demand a raise in the minimum wage. Of course you don't. I mean, most of the people here who are bitching about a raise for the minimum wage are either union employees whose labor union negotiates their paycheck based in factors of the minimum wage, or people who have only held a minimum wage job in their life and that's all they know. And they wouldn't have any drive or desire to work harder for their money. They just demand everyone else be forced to pay them more. I add the third class, Democrat politicians who are just looking to score points with the voters and don't care how badly they destroy the country. In fact, I think the Democrat Party is all about destroying the country just to keep people in dependency, just to keep votes coming in for their party. But there you have it on minimum wage. So to conclude this episode of the Sunday Post, I mean, I know I didn't cover half the stuff I wanted to cover for this week, but on the same note, I didn't really have the time either. But the big takeaway from this is that you have one regulation here, one regulation there. It didn't seem like much, and then you have another regulation and another regulation, and all these little regulations don't seem like much, but eventually they add up, and then finally you can't even sneeze without getting a government permit. So it's time to really think about what we truly value and how much we truly value freedom in this country, and what we're going to do to protect it. You see, the fact of the matter is that we can all sit back, do nothing or take our little causes and whatnot. And the big thing we got to ask ourselves is how much freedom are we costing ourselves? On some of these causes, does this cause protect freedom or does it not? Does this cause make us more free or not? I big time against feminism and gun control. Well, obviously, because first on the feminism, it's a pretty totalitarian mentality when you look at it. These people will be pretty well responsible for ending a lot of our freedoms we have in this country. And if you look at the modern feminism, it doesn't look like there's too much freedom they're offering in return. When you look at gun control, well, the point behind gun control is to put more regulations on firearms, put more restrictions on firearms. And again, it doesn't matter, what restrictions are in place. A lot of well-meaning, even gun control advocates don't have any idea. The point in their mind is that there's not enough restrictions. And eventually they will if we let them, they will phase out our right, the legal recognition of our right to keep and own weapons, to keep and own firearms, particularly. So, again, it's on us to decide what we want to do, and I'm not suggesting anybody who's not already a gun rights advocate to go out and become one. But on the same note, I would hope that you guys don't go out and become a gun control advocate either. I would hope that you guys take a step back and see, well, hey, our government is pretty bloated, instead of looking for another government program we can put in place, perhaps let's look at some bad government programs and see if we can't, you know, reduce them or, you know, phase them out if they're entirely unnecessary. Y'all take her easy out there.